William Jordan, when Joe Biden won in 2020, he had a record amount of votes. Some people say it wasn't that people were voting for him, it's that people were voting against Donald Trump. What do you make of candidates saying, I'm the roadblock to Joe Biden? Now, this time around, just 2 years later, people are saying, I'm the roadblock to Joe Biden.
Well, one of the things, going back to the 2020 election, I mean, the message I took from it was that, yes, 2020 was very much a referendum on Trump and his presidency. It was a decision, we don't like this, by most of the American people across the country. I mean, leave aside the moment, the electoral college breakdown. But still, you had this hardcore of Trump supporters who felt even more mobilized, and Trump actually overperformed in that election, managing to achieve, as he lost, the second largest number of votes cast for a president in an American election. So the other part of it is on the congressional side, and in terms of over the past couple of years, state races. The Democrats did not do as well as they did in the presidential election. And I think that getting back to what we've been talking about in terms of red states like Florida, and I would throw in Virginia, I would say North Carolina, where I'm a resident, a lot of these places, Georgia, and particularly Arizona, what we're seeing is either a return to form, or we're seeing Republicans not simply be able to play on celebrity and all of these, the shtick and all the rest of it. I mean, they do have better messaging because their message is simple. I mean, when you're angry and your message is basically one of resentment and one of attacking the status quo because things are just not working out for people, it's a very easy message to convey. Democrats always end up conveying a much more complicated and difficult message. But there's a ground game that's going on in terms of organizing and mobilizing that is paying off. And when I go back to the 2020 election, I take away not simply that Trump was defeated. I take away that Democrats lost in the House. They lost ground in the House, and they barely squeaked by to get what they needed in order to regain control of the Senate. And we're still very much in that dynamic right now. And so I think that as we look at all of this, and as we particularly look at all of these supposed purple states, or we see these states that trend back and forth between being purple or red, that we need to understand that and those sort of underlying dynamics, because that's ultimately what it all boils down to. This election. What I say is that in many ways, the Democrats in this election, this set of elections, deserve to lose, even though the Republicans don't deserve to win. And that has a lot to do with, on the Democrat side, the messaging, the presentation of their record, whether or not their record has actually lived up to what they claim. And on the Republican side, the fact that what they are selling is ultimately so charged and so dangerous in terms of pushing the extremism. So, that's what makes this election quite unusual. And as we prepare to move into 2024, if you're going to have at the top of the ticket a rerun of the 2020 election, I mean, all of this is going to be very much in play, and it's going to harden. And it's hard to see how we don't end up with a fraught outcome in 2024 like we had in 2020.
Let's speak to, yeah.
Quick policy idea. Maybe people like states' rights.
Yeah.
Why don't we talk about policy? Maybe that's part of the reason the red state governors are so successful.
Yeah, well,
they don't like the federal involvement as heavy as the Democrats propose it.
All right.